Thanks for joining us. We're going to show you the two different methods now for generating a device ID into your Compass Control iPad. Once you download the Compass Control Pro app from the App Store on your iPad or iPhone, you'll have this, the demo mode. We go to Setup, Device Info, and we see that the device ID is not created. Now, if this is an iPad that's on an existing job site, or if you've already just recently installed your master controller on the network, and if you need help getting your master controller on the network, you could check out our C2 Part 1 video. But let's say you're on a job site where you have an MC1000 or a CX800 or any of our AV over IP or matrix switchers with an embedded master controller inside. Then actually the easiest thing to do is method one, which is press this button here, get device ID, and just type in the IP address of that master controller or any of your Compass master controllers that are alive on your network. So I happen to know that my master controller was set to the IP address 10.0.0.238. And I press OK. And it has now generated a device ID for me. So that's done. And let me show you now method number two. Let me delete, head back into the App Store, download this again, and we'll go over to method number two now. Now, again, if you have a master controller on your network already, then it's just a matter of shaking hands between the iPad and the master controller, which means they need to be on the same network. And again, to recap there, it could be an MC1000, CX800, any of our AV over IP encoders, decoders, or matrix switchers with an embedded master controller. So this is downloading and it looks to be going quite slow. Not to worry. I'm going to go ahead now and show you method number two, which is to shake hands between the iPad and a PC that is running our Compass Navigator software. So this is if you're on site and you have the iPad and you're doing your programming on site, or you have the program file. And in fact, you don't even have to have our or the actual project file. You could open any project or even create a new project. Doesn't really matter what you're going to do here. I'll just put this on my desktop because I'm just kind of killing a quick moment while the app is loading, because it is going quite slow. ID Gen, I'll call this project, and it's on my desktop, and I'm starting from scratch here, right? And I would just come over here, say I have an iPad, give it a name, press add controller, and now when I choose over here the properties, we see that the device ID is empty, right? And at this point, I could press the ID Gen button, and I'll type that in on my iPad in the Compass app. And we're going to see that in just a moment. But since the app is still loading, I'm going to filibuster for another moment. And that is to say, most of you will actually probably have your Compass project. If you're doing this method too, you'll probably have the Compass project on your computer that you want to load this iPad into. So let's just say I open up the project that I want to have added in. I'm here in Edit System. I have my, I programmed the GUI and everything, and I have the iPad already added in because I've programmed already. And I'm going to go over to the device ID cell, and keep in mind, even if you already have a device ID in there, you can just clear that out. And we press here the ID Gen button, just like you saw before, ID Gen. And it gives me this. This is the Navigator key. This is not the device ID. So I head back into Compass Navigator, Compass app on my iPad. And I'm over here and I press that device info get device ID. I'll stop the share so we can see this larger. Get device ID. And I just need to enter in that Navigator key. So it is 9FF85699A4. And keep in mind, this will be unique for you on your computer. It'll be unique. And we have here the device ID that has generated, or over in the iPad, we see it here. So we've now gone over the two methods of creating a device ID. And what we're going to do right now is just kind of take you to the next step, which is you would go to KeyDigital.com, our website, and KeyDigital.com or KeyDigital.org. We could enter through either. And we would go now to Products, Compass Control, and we see here license registration. You log in with your C1 certified Compass programmer credentials, and you will first enter the, it brings you to this page where we have information about Compass, etc. And we scroll all the way down to the bottom. We see Compass Control Pro license registration. And sorry for this, but now it says, all right, give us that password one more time. That's called the robot test. Make sure you're not a robot. And once again, back to the license registration button. And this is where you get that registration key. And those registration keys you already saw. You saw the format there. You'll have your own unique key. It's as we can see, 4 sets of 5 characters. You type that in. On the next page, it's going to ask you for that device ID, amongst other things. The device ID truly is the only thing you really need there. That's what's mandatory. And if you want to see that step by step, we have a tech guide for you where you could kind of see these this in a document real quick. I'll just point you there as well to make sure you have everything you need. Here it is, controller activation. And in fact, you could even see like the device ID creation. We have a tech guide in there as well. License activation, let's see. And yeah, registering with ProCL license. And, this kind of just gives you a few pages of background information, license registration. Keep in mind sometimes things, the look and feel has updated. So here's that next page where it says, here's the device ID. The other cells are optional. That's the old look and feel of our app. So that's why we wanted to do a new video. And that's all. So if you have any questions, of course, reach out to tech support, tech@keydigital.com. Thanks for viewing.